like that.
Oh, I'm impressed. I'm jealous.
Yeah, trust me, I appreciate it.
No. I need to, and then I get to like Wednesday midday, and I'm like, I don't know what it's like.
Yeah, we'll be
Oh, Mayor, I
okay.
think he's, yeah.
We'll be fine. Is everybody doing okay tonight? Yeah. Couldn't tell. Close enough. All right. Okay. Good evening. I will now call to order Apex Town Council regular scheduled meeting for Tuesday, August 9th, 2022 to order. And we have special guests here tonight. We have the American Legion Post, Apex Post 124 present with us tonight. And then I also want to recognize our wonderful ambassador, J.C. Knowles, who's here with us tonight. Give him a round of applause, please. And also former Apex Town Board member, Mr. Carl Hilton, who's part of the upcoming Color Guard. So we have the Post 124 here tonight to present the colors. So if you would please rise.
To the post, march. Guard, halt. Post colors. Port, arms. Place colors. Present arms. Face colors. Hand salute. 2. Port arms. Forward march.
Thank you very much. If you would please remain standing. Tonight, we always start with an invocation, and what I want to say tonight is that we celebrate diversity and inclusion here, and we understand that everybody don't express the same faith, but we do recognize that this is a part of our tradition, and we do mix it up here. We do prayer, words of encouragement, and enlightenment. So tonight, if you would please join me in a prayer. Father God, we thank you for this time. We thank you for everyone represented tonight. We thank you for this wonderful town of Apex. Continue to, Lord, help us prosper. Continue, Lord, to lead us in the right way. Give us wisdom and insight as we make decisions that impact every member of this community. And may we remain humble in a spirit of love in all that we do. In your Son's name we pray. In Christ, amen. Amen. All right, if you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can be seated. All right, thanks again, American Legion, for posting the colors tonight. We'll move now to the consent agenda. All consent agenda items are considered routine to be enacted by one motion with the adoption of the consent agenda and without discussion. If a council member requests discussion of an item, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. You have the consent agenda in front of you. Is there a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve, Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
Second, Councilman Gray. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, motion passes unanimously. We'll move now to presentations. And we have a very special guest in the house for a presentation tonight. Retired Commander Mike Sayers. I know we wanted to do this at the last council meeting, but I was not able to be present along with the sponsor, Councilman Ed Gray. So it's your night tonight, sir. We honor you, and you've done so many wonderful exploits for our community, and we really appreciate everything that you've done. So we want to present to you a proclamation, but first, what I would like to do is allow the now current commander, Ms. Sandra Edens, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. So the American Legion is the nation's largest veterans advocacy group. The power of the Legion, here's just to give you an idea, 5% of the American Legion has more lobbying power than the NRA, just 5%. So it's a huge organization. We can thank the American Legion for things like the VA, GI Bills. There's current legislation in the works that you may have heard of, the PACT Act, which has just been signed. You can thank the Legion for that. If it has to do with veterans and veterans' families, the American Legion has got their hands in it. We've had a post in Apex for some time, and around about 13 years ago, the post was struggling, and the discussion was had, do we just disband and call it a day? And Mr. Sayers said, not an option. Quitting is not an option. So he was asked, okay, fine, will you be the commander? So he said yes, because quitting is not an option. So we've kind of called him the Phoenix, because the post rose out of the ashes, so we're kind of dubbing him the Phoenix. But he took over the local post of the American Legion and led as our commander for 13 years, which is an incredible feat to steer this ship, which is full of all kinds of diverse people, diverse personalities, but he steered our ship. And we're eternally grateful for his efforts to ensure that we were able to keep a post in Apex, and we are now thriving and really starting to gain some ground, and it's all because of the groundwork that Mike laid for us. So tonight is to let him know how much we appreciate him and how much we appreciate what he has done for Apex, the Veterans Day ceremonies, Memorial Day, Patriots Day, 4th of July, Christmas parades, posting colors. And I believe, Mr. Mayor, we have a video.
That's correct. So if I
Please.
have the
Thank you, Mike.
town clerk to cue that up now. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to acknowledge Brandy Swope. She's one of our members. She put that video together.
All right, thank you so much for that. Awesome, awesome video. All right, wonderful. So we'll now move into the proclamation, and what I would like to say to add on to Commander's comments and remarks about Commander Sayers, he is relentless, and I tell you what, if he wants to get something done, he don't take no for an answer. He's going to keep, he's going to continue to press and press and press, but he's very effective in how he gets it done. So thank you so much, sir, for all you've done for our community. Sponsor Gray, if you want to talk about.
I will say this about Mike Sayers, and I know he doesn't like this because he doesn't like it to be about him. He would really much more this be about the Legion, but I will say this. As a person who has furthered and advocated for those who have served, it's important that we recognize those who have made those sacrifices. You and your wife have made those sacrifices within this community. As we all know, as fellow Legionnaires, we are here to serve the community, state, and nation. But the bedrock of that is community. And you have served this community well. And it's appropriate that you be thanked for your service. And most importantly, hold you up as an example so that others may follow in your footsteps so that the work that you've done will continue in the future. Thank you, Mike. I really appreciate all that you've done.
Thank you, Councilman Gray. All right, so I'll read the proclamation now. All right. Proclamation, Mike Sayers Appreciation Day. Whereas the National American Legion was chartered by Congress in 1919 and continues to serve as the nation's largest military advocacy group focusing on service to veterans, service members, and communities. And whereas the Apex American Legion Post 124 was officially formed in 1995 and has consistently supported the community with Memorial, Patriots, and Veterans Day services, and whereas Post 124 provides support for local veterans and families, as well as advancing the principle of Americanism through an oratorical contest and sponsorship of high school students to boys state and girls state. And I'll say the oratorical contest, epic. It's always well done. I appreciate you putting that together. Whereas Mike Sayers has courageously served as a commander for Apex American Legion Post 124 for 13 years and worked tirelessly for military veterans across our community. And whereas Mike Sayers was instrumental in the completion of Military Services Memorial in downtown Apex and has single-handedly developed many programs and activities to increase the visibility of the Apex American Legion. And whereas Mike Sayers has been a phenomenal civic leader and outstanding contributor to the town who will greatly miss upon his retirement. And now, therefore, I, Jacques K. Gilbert, Mayor of the town of Apex, do hereby recognize Mike Sayers for his many years of extraordinary public service and proclaim Friday, August 12th, 2022, as Mike Sayers Appreciation Day. Signed this 9th day of August, 2022. Thank you so much, sir. If you would join me in a round of applause, standing ovation.
Can we get one with Miss Patty?
Oh, of course. Please. The real commander, come on up.
Stand between my two favorite.
A rose between two thorns. No offense, Mr. Mayor. Notice I didn't say the same to Mike.
Thank you all so much. All right, we'll now move to the regular meeting agenda, set that agenda, and are there any additional agenda items from council or staff before we approve the meeting agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second?
Motion second, discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, motion passed unanimously. We have the meeting agenda set. All right, moving now to public forum. This is an opportunity for the community to speak, present any ideas, concerns to council, and we have none signed up for tonight, so we'll close public forum, and we'll move to a public hearing, starting with public hearing number 1, Vision Zero Action Plan, presented tonight by Russell Dalton, Traffic Engineer Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I have the Vision Zero Action Plan to present to you for consideration for adoption. So just to recap, which we've talked about before, what Vision Zero is. It's a multinational road traffic safety project that aims to achieve a highway system with 0 fatalities and no serious injuries involving road traffic. And it started in Sweden back in the 1990s. A lot of communities across the nation have adopted Vision Zero plans. The Vision Zero Action Plan is actually a roadmap for implementing Vision Zero across our community. So considering why Vision Zero is different from traditional approaches, traditional approach looks at traffic deaths as inevitable, whereas Vision Zero considers them preventable. Traditional considers perfect human behavior, whereas Vision Zero tries to integrate human failing in its approach. Traditional approach prevents collisions, while Vision Zero is targeted toward preventing fatal and severe crashes. Traditional approach looks at individual responsibility, whereas Vision Zero looks at a system-wide approach. And traditional approach is typically looking at saving lives as being an expensive effort, whereas Vision Zero looks at lower cost measures applied across the entire system. Vision Zero Action Plan is our roadmap to reaching zero traffic-related fatalities and severe injuries by 2035. It was informed by a lot of different input. We have a Vision Zero task force made up of staff members. We did a lot of research and continue to coordinate with the statewide Vision Zero Coalition. We gathered 5-year crash and citation data and analyzed that. We had a steering committee appointed to lead our action plan effort along with stakeholder participation, and we also gathered a lot of public input and analyzed that public input to inform our plan. Our plan identifies the high injury network along with our public concerns, and that will be used in prioritizing future safety improvements and implementing our safe systems approach to transportation. So as you can see here from our steering committee, we had a lot of different representation from the Metropolitan Planning Organization, Wake County School, Wake County Government, public health officials. We also had Apex residents involved. Parks and Recreation Cultural Resources Advisory Commission had a member on there. In addition, the Apex Chamber of Commerce president was on there. And we were fortunate to have a member from Apex Planning Board, Ms. Sherman, and also Mr. Mahaffey from Apex Town Council. And unlike the steering committee, which was their term is basically ending for preparing the action plan, we'll have an ongoing commitment from Vision Zero Task Force. That's our staff members. So I've been leading that effort as a traffic engineering manager. We also have the traffic engineer, Serge Grabenchikov, involved in the task force. From planning, we have both Shannon Cox, long-range planning manager, as well as Jenna Schaus, our senior long-range planner. We have from police, Sergeant Kutcher with Traffic Safety Unit, as well as Jennifer Connolly, our crime analyst. We have Stacy Galloway from Communications, who has been very instrumental in doing all our public involvement throughout this process. We also have Linda Jones, she is the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, which is an important part of the program. Actually developed the document, and she did participate in some of the public outreach. So we started back in September 2021, and there were a lot of steps. So in that same month, we wrapped up our data collection and analysis, which had started much earlier. We did our plan and policy review a month later in October, and we moved into our public workshop in January of 2022. And we also had online efforts, which I'll talk about as well. In April 2022, we worked with our steering committee to set goals and began to identify our actionable strategies. A month later in May, we prepared a draft action plan, and we provided a council update, as you may recall at that time. In June, we held our second public workshop, which was dubbed Safety Town, which was held here in Town Hall parking lot, which provided a lot of opportunities for people to come out and engage. We had a traffic garden set up where kids could ride bikes and walk and experience, just different traffic scenarios out in the parking lot. Police provided lots of interesting, cool stuff, and we had a lot of involvement with the maps and the action plan and everything else to be able to show to the public. So the public outreach process started with a virtual workshop, which was online from January 19th through February 28th. We also held an in-person workshop over at the Apex Senior Center on January 26th. We had multiple pop-up events at Eva Perry Library, Hope Community Church, Senior Center, and Community Center. And these were just smaller versions of the public workshops to try and target certain areas, to try and get interest from people at different places, different events. This also got the word out because we had a card with a QR code that would link people back to the survey. So as we held these events, we were able to get the word out to more people throughout the community. We had 275 survey participants, which is pretty good for a plan of this type. We did hold an additional pop-up event as requested by the steering committee on April 27th. We had a lack of public identified issues south of US 1. It didn't mean that people that maybe lived or worked south of US 1 didn't comment. It's just that they didn't identify a lot of issues down there. And that is a very congested corridor, and there are some trouble spots that are shown on our high injury network. So we wanted to see if we could get some extra public comment in that specific area. And then again, we held our May 24th Town Council presentation, and that's where we recapped our public input. So for our draft action plan, the task force review on the draft action plan was held between April 19th and May 24th, where we provided a lot of comments back to our consultant. The second draft, following those comments, went to the steering committee and also to Apex staff between May 25th and June 8th for additional comments, which we then incorporated. Finally producing a public comment draft, which was available online, and we also had it at Safety Town, as I just mentioned. That was online from June 22nd to July 13th. And we also had a printed draft available at Planning Department and also over at the traffic offices in case anybody wanted to stop in and see a printed draft if they couldn't access it online. The public hearing draft prepared for the meeting yesterday at Planning Board and tonight at Town Council. That draft was recommended by the steering committee at their meeting on July 27th, and that was the fourth and final meeting of the steering committee. We held our Planning Board meeting again last night. Town Council is tonight. There are 6 chapters, starting out with introduction, then plan development, and then we go into a discussion about our data analysis. Following that, we talk about our various programs that we have at town already and the various initiatives that fall under the umbrella of Vision Zero and traffic safety, which we had a lot of programs in place before we started our Vision Zero program. Then in Chapter 5, we talk about our goals and actionable strategies to actually implementing our plan and achieving those goals. And then finally, our implementation and evaluation plan. And there are 3 appendices which go into detail about our plan and policy review, then our public input, and also there's an appendix finally showing all our collision maps and that data that was used to figure out where our trouble spots were, and also merging the public comments with that high injury network. So in chapters 1 through 4, we define Vision Zero. We talk about our timeline, our data analysis, public input, programs and initiatives, and then go into our 5E approach, which we've talked about before, which is very important to the foundation of our program. And the 5Es are engineering, education, encouragement, enforcement, and evaluation. Following those 5Es, the goals we developed with the help of the steering committee are, number 1, promote a culture of traffic safety that prioritizes equity and inclusion. Number 2, address collisions through infrastructure investments. Number 3, enhance town policies, processes, and evaluation to incorporate Vision Zero tenets. And number 4, create and leverage partnerships to improve traffic safety and awareness. We also have a commitment statement, 6 guiding principles as part of our plan, but the real meat of the plan where we will have action items coming out of our plan are the 28 actionable strategies. Those are grouped under the 5Es. Under each strategy that's individually identified, they identify which of the 4 goals are met, a leading department, a supporting department, and a time frame for implementation. So I'll go through those 28 actionable strategies now, and I'll be as brief as possible on these, but it was important, we found through the steering committee, that we show these so you have an idea, and we can certainly go back to discuss anything in detail. But under engineering, the first one, review and refine the method for prioritizing bicycle and pedestrian needs using crash data, information from ADA transition plan, facility gaps to bus stops and the pedestrian network, consider equity and community input gathered for the Vision Zero action plan. Number 2, develop and maintain a traffic safety performance management system to track traffic collision data and system performance metrics on an annual basis to inform safety improvement projects. Number 3, develop and maintain a traffic engineering toolbox of countermeasures to address traffic safety. Number 4, conduct engineering studies and identify countermeasures that will address traffic safety on the high injury network. Use this information to prioritize projects for the capital improvement plan. And there was a question at Planning Board about what is a countermeasure, for example. So there may be something with respect to, you may see a certain trend with crashes, pedestrian crashes, vehicle crashes at an intersection. There may be certain types of signal timing or signal phasing that could be implemented that would be a good countermeasure, a proven countermeasure. And there are studies through Federal Highway that have shown that you could implement system-wide at a lot of different intersections to try and reduce those crash numbers. So that's the idea. As a countermeasure is something relatively simple, as opposed to like rebuilding an entire intersection, which would be a large infrastructure project. Number 5 under engineering, develop a performance evaluation process for ranking traffic safety projects based on a benefit or value to cost analysis. Number 6, prioritize the design and maintenance of pedestrian and bicycle facilities to comply with the American with Disabilities Act, ensuring facilities are clear of poles, signs, trees, shrubbery, and other impediments. Number 7, coordinate with school officials and Wake County Public School System to evaluate pedestrian and bicycle needs, provide pedestrian and bicycle routes, and address school transportation safety concerns in order to promote walking and biking to school. That's the first 7 of 28. On to education. It's the next E. Number 1, create a social media campaign with appropriate traffic messages that targets the following 5 most relevant concerns. That's speeding and traffic calming, pedestrian bicycle safety, distracted driving behavior programs, safe routes to school, and young driver passenger safety. Number 2, create safe traffic messaging information on buses and at or around bus stops. Number 3, create a safety education team that will engage in traffic safety outreach and education to community groups and will be supported by a social media campaign and safe traffic messaging. Number 4, provide targeted outreach when adding new traffic signals, roundabouts, and pedestrian and bicycle facilities to the transportation network. Number 5, provide town employees with defensive driving classes and curriculum on an annual basis. And on to the third E, encouragement. Partner with schools for National Walk to School Day and other walking and biking events. Number 2, make Vision Zero visible through town-sponsored and co-sponsored events and festivals. Number 3, develop Vision Zero marketing materials, disseminate through various medium, including the website and newsletter. Number 4, keep town council members informed about the Vision Zero program with updates on traffic safety projects, performance metrics, and outreach and education initiatives. And on number 4 in particular, Planning Board did want to make sure that we bring that information to them as well when we report to town council, because that is important, they thought, in terms of making decisions at the level of Planning Board. And we certainly agree, and I think that was the intent behind that as well. It's just not spelled out. Continue participation in statewide Vision Zero programs through the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program and the UNC Chapel Hill Highway Safety Research Center. And finally, number 6, participate in conferences that include traffic safety programs and look for opportunities to network with other organizations for knowledge sharing. And I'll actually be going next week to the NC Traffic Safety Expo in downtown Raleigh. So there are opportunities even in our local area for events like that. On to enforcement. Develop a reporting system of metrics on an annual basis to inform police enforcement activity. Number 2, target enforcement on the high injury network and target the most dangerous driving behavior. Number 3, continue to review and improve upon existing processes that protect against racial profiling. And number 4, research enforcement techniques and partner with other municipalities in the region to reduce high-risk driving behavior. And evaluation. Evaluate and update the townwide policy guidance and specifications with the goal of promoting alternative modes of transportation, including more walkable, transit-friendly, and bicycle-friendly streets. Number 2, evaluate and update townwide policy guidance and specifications with the goal of reducing crash severity within the public right-of-way and in public vehicular spaces. Number 3, develop a traffic safety report card and progress report on the actionable strategies on an annual basis for public information and to inform policy decisions. Update crash statistics, the high injury network, and performance metrics as part of the annual reporting process. And number 4, continue to evaluate traffic enforcement and education techniques to adapt to changes in technology and road user behavior. Number 5, continue regular collaboration of the Vision Zero Task Force to check in on progress, issues, and ideas. And finally, number 6, hire a traffic safety engineer to oversee implementation of the Vision Zero Action Plan, annual reporting, coordination of the task force, communication with the community, and to seek funding opportunities for infrastructure projects. And what I understand is we have funded the traffic safety engineer position for this fiscal year, so that's great. We can check that off the list. So that is all the actionable strategies. I can go back to any of those as I go through, or we can continue on. Does anyone have any questions on those?
Yeah, I had one actually, Mr. Dalton. When I look at the education and the engineering ones, I think about a connection between those two categories that maybe is a little bit atypical from in your profession. And it kind of, I was thinking about tactical urbanism and how from that toolbox, there are some, it seems like ultra low cost things that can be done, the countermeasures or whatever we're calling them, that HOAs, even individuals, could potentially do to their own like area. And I know that's probably makes you cringe because it may be kind of outside the regulations, but is there a way we can, I guess I'd encourage you to think about, besides just educating the HOAs and the other groups that may be affected by this, but actually work with them to encourage them to possibly put out, planters for curb bump outs or something like that. That's within the cost of an individual or an HOA that they could do themselves, and that could increase the coverage. I think, because I saw on the network there are some high injury crashes, not just on the main roads, which had most of them, but there were some in parking lots and in like individual neighborhoods. I thought we're probably not going to prioritize those because there's not as many, but there are some, and these small projects that can be done by the neighborhoods maybe would help that issue. So maybe I'm wondering if education can also be a toolbox that an advocate do these things on their own with some permissions from you guys.
Yes, so that would come down to policy decisions in a lot of cases where we allow the public to do different things within the public right-of-way that we may not currently allow or encourage. And public outreach is going to be a continuing part of that. So I guess, I think that may be covered under what we have now in terms of community outreach and providing safe countermeasures. And we'll continue to work on that. But
I think it'd be a kind of a shift change from what you guys normally do. So, but I think it could help too, potentially within some boundaries.
Yeah, and we have done a lot of things in terms of our town standards in more recent years, maybe in the last 10 years or so, in terms of street design. You may see the little mini traffic circles in some of the neighborhoods, which some people like and some people hate, and a lot of people I think are sort of in between, where they don't really like or hate them that much. But they are effective, and when they're implemented correctly, they are very effective. And it's something that 20 years ago we probably wouldn't have done. So that's a fairly low-cost thing that's that can be built into a neighborhood, or it could be something done later. And there is, when you talk about tactical urbanism, there have been other communities that have allowed closing streets and doing like what's called a slow streets program, where you have a period of time where you can close it off to cars and people can walk and bike and enjoy the neighborhood, and then there's a time when you open it back up again, and it's only available for local traffic. So again, that comes down to policy and based on our experience and what we think we want to recommend.
Okay, thanks.
So Chapter 6, implementation and evaluation. So in that chapter, we do stress our high injury network priorities, displaying our various intersections and segments that showed up on that high injury network from the crash data. And we do, as I noted before, we'll advance our crash data analysis every year. So we just got new crash data. The year actually ends in June, so we just got new crash data in July. We're working through all the analysis of that. And that'll help inform the plan as we move forward every year and we get new updates. We have a list of example safety countermeasures with crash reduction factors that are helpful in moving forward the plan. That's not all the safety countermeasures, but that's certainly a very long list of safety countermeasures we could potentially use. And we talk about other potential improvements like the traffic signal system, including emergency preemption and connected vehicles, which is a good opportunity to improve our system, bicycle and pedestrian improvements, as well as transit improvements. And our implementation evaluation chapter recommends transparent, regular, and performance-based evaluation. So next steps, and I was asked to specifically talk about next steps because it is important to think about where we're going. So first of all, there will be a grant funding opportunity in September of 2022. The bipartisan infrastructure law established this new program, the Safe Streets and Roads for All, SS4A as it's known. It's a discretionary program with $5 billion in funding. In the first year, fiscal year 22, there's going to be $1 billion available. It funds regional, local, and tribal initiatives through grants to prevent roadway deaths and serious injuries. Adoption of our action plan puts us in a really good position. We will be the only community in the Triangle that actually has an adopted Vision Zero action plan. So that's something to be proud of, and we're happy to bring that forward at this time. So it puts us ahead of the curve in terms of applying for this grant funding and having an opportunity. And we've been working with long-range planning to identify where we might target that grant application. And also, Vision Zero Task Force will implement, track, and report progress on the actionable strategies, including these annual updates to our 5-year data analysis. So Planning Board asked, can staff take all this on? It sounds like a lot of work with all these 28 actionable strategies. A lot of this stuff we sort of already do. I mean, we're working with long-range planning, we're working with police, we're working with communications and diversity. This touches on a lot of the duties that we already have, and it's just expanding what we have. And through gathering all this crash data, it's helped us to be able to access data more quickly. We already have that. When the public calls in and they say, "Hey, I've got a problem with this intersection. It's a safety issue." We've already got information on file. We've got our Vision Zero program. We can respond a lot faster than we could, prior to having Vision Zero and having all this data aggregated. And it's much easier once we got the 5-year data. It's much easier to advance forward each year because you're only analyzing and you're basically lopping off the first year of the 5-year and you're adding the last year of the 5-year every time you move a year forward. So it's a lot less data to process. And we have a methodology now, so it's a lot quicker than it used to be.
I'm assuming that this will also, some of this information will be brought up at our budget planning sessions too, as to help us prioritize not only our Safe Routes to Schools, but also funding for our CIP as well.
Yes, the idea in our actionable strategies is also to help inform our CIP, to put more emphasis on traffic safety, especially when it comes to talking about systematic improvements. If we can do a lot of little things at a lot of small things at a lot of different locations and make a big impact, that would be potentially a really good CIP project.
I follow up to that, and that's the question, I guess, to you and to the staff about: is there a way that the TIAs that neighborhoods have to do sometimes when they're large could incorporate safety things and not beyond just the level of service that we normally see in those reports?
We could incorporate that. That might involve adding some information, some guidance to the UDO, section 13.19, where we talk about traffic impact analysis requirements. There are other communities that bring in different types of requirements when it comes to traffic impact analysis. When it comes to transit in particular is one thing some communities bring in that has to be a consideration when it comes to traffic impact. We currently don't, the idea of getting the traffic safety engineer is to start using the highway safety manual. So coming from that experience, we may be able to recommend something for traffic impact analysis.
Great, thanks.
And I was curious about your database. Did that come from the state, or in terms of having some help with that?
It came from Apex Police. So one great thing, we saved a lot of money on this by doing all our data processing in-house, which was a big effort, probably $50,000 or more worth of effort that we would have had to pay a consultant to do. So it was nice to be able to do that. And we gained the experience, so we can continue doing it in-house moving forward and not have to hire out to get that done. There are systems for collecting crash data and aggregating crash data that you can pay for. There are vendors out there that supply, like City of Charlotte uses one. Much larger municipalities, as you can imagine, have a lot more crashes. When we've been in meetings with other communities like City of Durham, and we hear their crash numbers versus ours, we're just like, our eyes bug out and say, wow, I can't believe it. Yeah, we probably would not have done that in-house. But Apex is, fortunately, we have, a community of our size, it's still manageable to deal with that data.
Any other questions?
So I will say on July 27th, the steering committee recommended approval. Planning board last night unanimously recommended approval. We did get, the only public comment I've gotten through this public hearing advertisement was just at planning board last night, and it was a member of the public just advocating for, and I'll paraphrase, but basically encouraging, prioritizing bicycle and pedestrian travel and lower speeds on local streets as opposed to, widening and adding capacity, basically separating your streets that are really intended for more bikes and pedestrians than just traffic, than moving traffic quickly. That was essentially it, but, no comments on the plan. So staff tonight requests adoption of the Vision Zero action plan.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Well done. It's been a long year. Got it done, though. Excellent. Great work.
I just want to say, Mayor, this is incredible. This is so thoughtful and so comprehensive and such an example of why I love Apex. I was in a meeting about a week and a half ago just bragging on Apex, and this is an example of our staff and the amazing work you all do. So thank you so much.
Well, I was just proud to be at the mayor's conference just 3 weeks ago, and they asked a question, is anybody doing Vision Zero? I said, stand by. We did first, so it worked.
Mr.
Anybody?
Mayor, if I may, one of the things I think is really, one of the most impressive portions of the entire package is, take a look at Schedule C. That Appendix C, if you want to know where the accidents are happening, how much they're costing, that's your source. And I really want to give credit to the staff for putting in the hard work on that. Because not only does that save us money doing it in-house, but it's a great example of the interagency process where we've got traffic working with law enforcement, and we're gonna ultimately make things better for folks in Apex. So I can't tell you enough. Those who are watching on YouTube, those who aren't here, I'm gonna push this out there. Take a look at this document. Look at that attachment C. You're gonna learn a lot of things that, you may be reinforcing some of your old beliefs with regard to where a lot of these accidents were happening, but I'll tell you, there were a few places I was out there going, wow, didn't realize we were spending that much money on accidents in that location. So thank you so much to the staff for putting together a great piece of work.
I would second that, because seeing those numbers, it was astounding to me. And you think about road projects, mostly it'll save 30 seconds, but that's valuable, but maybe not as valuable as saving a life, which is millions of dollars. So I think it'd be right to think about how we prioritize projects, not just saving time for people in cars, but thinking about safety and how that balances out those costs and benefits, for sure. But that table was, for me, is also eye-opening as well.
I live right next to Lake Pine and 64, and seeing that there's $6 million worth of accidents that are happening there, I'm like, woof. I see those accidents, and I can see how that would add up. And these efforts are going to make that intersection safer. Because people travel on that intersection. People are trying to walk across that intersection. Trying to encourage and, move to a position where, I think it's a lofty goal to have 0 fatalities and 0 accidents. But I think it's a worthy goal. And until we embrace it and say, this is what we want, we don't move in that direction. So this, to me, is one of those areas where Apex may mean peak, but I also think it means leading. And in this case, we're leading, and I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it.
Very good. Excellent. All right, we'll go ahead and open up public hearing for this item. No one has signed up to speak tonight, so we'll close it for comment and discussion. Council, any further discussion before we move to a vote to adopt?
I just want to thank the task force for all the work that you've put into this past year and a half now almost. And, the vision that you had to even bring this forward to begin with. It's pretty great.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else?
Well done. Well done.
That's all need to be said. Right?
And just to ditto what you said, I think this puts us in a good position for grants, coming up in the fall. with
I love it
federal
when other people's money comes into Apex.
Yeah.
money. Yes,
That's nice.
It's fantastic.
well positioned. Good
Well,
luck.
it's all our money, but we want it to come here. Yeah.
Of course. When our money comes back to Apex.
There you go.
Send the federal government.
There you go.
So it sounds like everyone is happy, so is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion, Mayor Pro
I
Tem.
second it.
Second.
Gotcha.
Councilwoman Stallings. All right. Any further discussion? All right, we'll vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Passed unanimously. Thank you again for everything, Mr. Dalton, and everybody involved. All right. Public hearing number 2.
It's gonna take me longer to get the thing up before than it would if I
We
just.
have Annexation 729,
Yeah.
presented by Director Diane Ken.
Nope, that's not it. Yep, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so this is annexation 729 at 1302 North Salem Street. It is the location of Kelly Environmental, which has been a long-standing business in this corridor, and they are interested in annexing in order to get town services, particularly utilities. You can see that they are surrounded on 3 sides by Apex corporate limits. We do recommend approval of the annexation.
All right, thank you. Questions? All right, we'll open up public hearing for this item. No one signed up tonight, therefore we'll close it. And it's back to council for discussion. Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve Stallings.
Second.
Second, Mahaffey. All right, all in favor? Indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passed unanimously. We'll move on.
This is annexation 736, the Huxley Master Subdivision Plan. It's 71.5 acres. It's located in the western part of our planning area. It is a project that has previously been approved for a subdivision. They are surrounded mostly on 3 sides by existing corporate limits, and they they are asking for an annexation in order to get their construction plans approved. Staff does recommend approval of the annexation.
Okay, thank you so much. Questions? All right, we'll open up public hearing for this item. No sign-ups tonight to speak. Close it. Back to council for discussion. Lead to a possible motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we got Mahaffey motion, and I think I heard,
Gray got it.
you want Gray to have it? Okay, all right, we'll give it to Gray.
Not
All
a
right.
contest.
All right, no discussion further. We'll go ahead and vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Passed unanimously. All right. Public hearing for Unity Mural Design Proposal. Ms. Taylor Ray, new Special Events Coordinator. Congratulations on your new
Yes,
assignment. Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that. I made it a different color so it was easy to find.
Nice.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Gilbert and Apex Town Council. My name is Taylor Ray. I'm the Special Events Coordinator for the Town of Apex. I bring to you today the proposed design for the Apex Unity mural. At your June 8th, 2021 meeting, the concept for the Unity mural was approved. And on October 12th, 2021, the location for the side retention wall at the Apex Police Station was approved. To start the design process off, we began a social media conversation asking the general public what Unity meant to them and what they would like to see in this design. The design for this mural has developed much since our first subcommittee meeting back in March 2022 with selected artist Lauren Peace. This subcommittee was developed consisting of members from the Public Art Committee, Apex Police Department, Apex High School's Student Equity Team, and several other members. Our meetings consisted of discussions about what we wanted to see, what we did not want to see, murals we liked around town and in other towns, and our vision for this project. The final design that you have in front of you has been reviewed by the Unity Mural Subcommittee and then improved and approved by the Public Art Committee on June 27th, 2022. Per the guidelines of the town's public art plan, the Public Art Committee is now ready to make a recommendation to the Town Council regarding the mural design. With Council's final consent, our artist can begin her mural painting process this month. This process takes about 4 weeks, depending on weather, and includes priming the wall, sketching out the general outline of all figures, and finally painting the details until it is complete. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. All right, questions for Ms. Ray? All right, hearing none. We'll open up public hearing for this item. No one has signed up for comment tonight. Close public hearing. and it's back to council for discussion.
I was just curious,
start.
will the artist only be doing the work, or will any people in the community be helping with the painting?
Sure, so it'll be a mix between the artist and members from the Public Art Committee. And we'll be inviting members from the community who are interested as they come up. They typically will see it happening, and the artist will be inviting them to join in.
Oh, good, wonderful.
Is there going to be a talent requirement for those who may volunteer?
No, luckily, we've got our professional mural artist on hand, so she can always guide.
Number.
Luckily, so.
Like I said, asking for a friend.
Sure, yep.
Could help prime it maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I'll just say, what I see is well done. I know we talked about a concept somewhere around downtown of unity, and you understand what unity means to me and how much I want it to continue to spread throughout this community. So when I look at this, it reached beyond my expectations. So great job by everybody involved. And I really like the location. I think it would be a great destination for everyone to come and say, I got to take a picture in front of this wall. So job well done.
Thank you.
One of the things that we talked about as part of the subcommittee is making sure that it's actually representative of people and of the diversity that we have within the town. So, and I think that's well done. We have all ages, all genders and all races here, and I think that shows very well, very easily seen within this mural. So we appreciate that.
All right.
I make a motion to approve.
All right, we got a motion from Stallings.
I'll second.
Second, Mayor Pro Tem. Any further discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed unanimously. Thank you again, Ms. Wright.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go to updates. Manager Crosby.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Well, I want to start off with some sad news today. I sent you all an email earlier today. One of our team members, Tony Richardson, passed away. And so I had an opportunity to meet Tony. He was one of the folks that I spent some time with while I visited Public Works. He actually made a sign for me, Crosby Way. And so I still have that sign. But one of the things that I remember most about Tony is whenever I would walk around downtown and I see him out and pass, he'd always say, "Hey, Miss Crosby." But he was always like a very friendly person whenever I interacted with him. And so we're going to miss Tony, and I'm sure his team members will miss him as well. So we just want to send condolences to his family and just let them know that they're with us and
Manager
during this
Crosby, if I
difficult
may,
time.
can we take a moment of silence
Absolutely.
for him? If you would join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next Monday, Apex will have our City Hall Selfie Day. So if you are around town on Monday, please make sure that you take a selfie with some of our government employees. We want to make sure that we're posting that on social media. We also encourage our community members to join us for Selfie Day and use hashtag City Hall Selfie. Last year, Apex took the prize for City Hall Selfie with the most famous person on our photo of Olympic medalist Tim. I'm not gonna.
Beterovich.
Thank you. In front of the depot. I really appreciate that. We also encourage interested residents to consider filling the vacancies on two of our advisory boards, the Planning Board and the Tree Cap. We're seeking applications to fill 2 seats each, and residents can apply by August 12th to be considered for this round of appointments. And then I just want to say congratulations to 2 of our folks from the fire department. The first is Captain John White. for being awarded the honor of Volunteer Combination Training Officer of the Year. And one of the things that I want to say about this is that it was for his work to help us achieve our ISO Class 1 designation, which is a highly coveted designation and a hard one to get. And so it means a lot to the town of Apex to have that designation. And I just want to say that he did this during the pandemic. And so that says a lot about his commitment to the town and to the fire department. And then secondly, to Spencer Lee on being reconferred as a chief fire and training officer by the Commission on Professional Credentialing. And I think it's really important to highlight those types of recognition, because we want to, one, let the community know that we value that our employees are pursuing opportunities for development. And secondly, to let them know that we have the best employees in the Triangle, if not the state of North Carolina. And those are all of my updates. Thank you.
Ms. Crosby, with the planning committee and tree cap appointments, if people have already applied to those in the past, are we encouraging them to reapply by that date to get their name on this kind of current list? Is that right?
I actually have the clerk respond to that.
Yep, so we'll keep them on file for a year. So if they've applied within the last year, then they'll be considered for these appointments.
Okay.
And we're reaching out to them just to make sure that they're still interested and that they still live within the Apex Township and that kind of thing.
Okay, great, thanks.
And didn't you get accepted to a leadership program?
I did.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I got accepted to Leadership North Carolina, so we start in October. Really excited about that. Trying to find opportunities to get more engaged in the community and meet folks around the state, and also represent Apex. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right. Thank you for the updates, and I think we have Mayor Pro Tem, you had something you wanted to present as well to close us out?
Sure. So I would to the Apex Chamber of Commerce to be presented with Christmas cards and other holiday cards from an organization called We Strive. And they invited myself and the mayor pretty recently to another event that they had. And part of their organization basically states that they enable people to learn and grow, contribute to the world around them. And they try to make a difference to one child, one family, and one community at a time. And their base is kind of the Morrisville, Cary, Apex area. They do a lot of community outreach. They do a lot of events to make the community better. And they also provide different types of classes for the kids. They actually have a youth leadership development program coming up pretty soon as part of their summer leadership program. And they also provide art classes to the kids. So these were just a couple of pieces of art that they donated to us. So I wanted to bring that out and show y'all and just give them a shout out and let them know that it's a great organization, and I would encourage people to check them out.
All right, thank you for that. All right, I don't have anything else on the agenda. Do we have anything else, Mr. Clerk? All right. Hearing none. 7 o'clock, meeting adjourned.